Shields up, Paladins, and welcome to a For Honor Hero Guide. As you can tell by the title of this video, I'll be talking to you all about the Warden and how I like to use this particular character. Now, I have done a Warden video in the past, and that particular video will go through the feats, the perks, is also how to use the Warden as in a combo through the hero tactics. If you are here for that specific reason, there will be a link up in the upper right hand corner of this video to go back and watch that video. Now, this particular video is going to be specifically talking about the update changes that have happened for the Year 5 Warden. And now I'll be going through those particular changes in this video. So, if you are here for just really how to use him, I would recommend watching that video first before continuing with this one. Okay? So now, with all that being said and done, let's go ahead and jump right on into it. Now, the first thing that they have changed is his shoulder bash. So now the shoulder bash is no longer accessible from a back dodge. The shoulder bash is now slightly moves forward when feinted. A fully charged shoulder bash no longer has additional forward movement when feinted, and any non-shoulder bash attacks can now chain into a shoulder bash. Now, the developer comments on that is that these changes should help the shoulder bash both feel fairer and flow better. Warden now has to be on the offensive to use a shoulder bash and rewards using every part of the kit instead of relying on only one part of his kit, which is great. I would have to agree with that statement fully, as now it feels like you can actually now play an offensive Warden, and that hasn't been the case in a very, very long time. The Warden was one of those characters that you kind of had to sit there and wait, either for the crushing counter or, you dodge out of the way of an unblockable to go into a shoulder bash. But it still felt you had to sit there and wait. And that was one thing that definitely, for me, killed the Warden. Now, with this simple update, just for the shoulder bash, it feels a lot better. I feel like I can definitely play more aggressive. I definitely feel like I can put on the pressure and keep someone on their toes, which is great. The next thing that they've changed is his heavy attacks. So the side heavy openers now have a flatter and larger trajectories. The top heavy finisher is now at 900 milliseconds. That has been reduced by 100, which has been down from 1000 milliseconds. These side heavy finishers are now 900 milliseconds. That is up from 800 milliseconds. The side heavy finishers are now unblockable. The side heavy finishers now deal 30 damage, down from 35 during the testing grounds. Top heavy finishers now deal 32 damage, which is down from 34 in the testing grounds. Side heavy finisher trajectories are now flatter. The Warden now moves forward more when performing a side heavy finisher, and light attacks now can chain to heavy finishers at 100 milliseconds during the recovery, which has been down from 200 milliseconds. Of course, the developer comments on that is the Warden should now be able to use the heavy attacks more effectively. The increased speed of the top heavy finisher makes it harder to interrupt, and side heavy attacks, both openers and finishers, are stronger both in group fights as well as the minion lane. And that, I have to say, again, is very, very true. Even though that they have reduced the damage a little bit from the side heavies and the top heavies, and again, just by much, let's see, it looks like 5 points from a side heavy, and just 2 points of damage for a top heavy. Now, the biggest thing with this is that the side heavy finisher is now unblockable, which is a great thing, because at the time, the Warden only had the crushing counter and a top heavy finisher. That was his unblockables at the time. Now he can also throw a side heavy, and again, now all that can be feintable. That can also go into a shoulder bash once you get the parry. And there's just a lot of things going into this now that you can do, again, which is great in my opinion. The zone attack is the next thing that was changed. The zone attack recovery is now 500 milliseconds, which is down from 1000 milliseconds. And the Warden now moves forward more when performing a zone attack. The Warden zone attack no longer needs to commit to an additional attack to be useful. The extra forward movement also helps in group fights to catch opponents that might be further away. which again is very, very true. I like to use the zone attack a lot as simply just as an opener for the Warden, because a lot of people are not expecting it. So sometimes I'll go into a zone attack right into a bash, and kind of sit there and wait, kind of throw people up a little bit. And then sometimes I'll go feint the zone attack, go into try to bait them in for a parry, to go into a shoulder bash, or go into an unblockable, or definitely let that side unblockable go so you can catch them while they're dodging. There's a lot of things you can do with that. There have been additional fixes that have been done to the Warden, but the developer really doesn't go too much into it. They have fixed an issue where the side heavy finishers were undodgeable after a top heavy opener, and they also fixed an issue where the Warden's top heavy misses a keyframe in the animation under certain conditions. Like I said, they didn't go too much into it, but there has been a feat change on the Warden that I won't go into. So now this is for his second tier feat. This was for Thick Blood, which has now been changed to Thrilling Comeback. So Thrilling Comeback is a passive feat that recovers a small amount of health upon entering Revenge. Now the developer comments on this was player feedback from Year 4 Season 4 testing grounds correctly noted that Thick Blood Warden negatively affected the viability of testing ground Peacekeeper and Naboshi, as it nullifies their bleed entirely. Here, by changing the effect of Thick Blood entirely, we removed the unhealthy aspect of being able to shut down Bleed Heroes kits for free, as well as the bad feeling of taking Thick Blood but not queuing into any Bleed Heroes. In this new Thrilling Comeback, it retains the passive feature of making you live a bit longer, and now is globally useful when with a much more healthy design. And again, I do have to also agree with that statement there, is because there would be times that you would queue in for a game and have no bleed heroes at all, and so that you would be basically playing a game with a useless second feat. Then there would be times that be like, what, I'm going to change it, and then guess what? You queue into everybody that's a bleed hero. The Warden at the time was the only person that actually had Thick Blood, so this particular feat change was to be expected eventually, and it's